Let's first get you with the latest on the world's largest democratic election that's taking place in India. Well, voting is underway for the phase 4 of the Lok Sabha elections, covering 96 constituencies spread over 9 states and union territories. Polling is taking place in 13 seats in Uttar Pradesh, 11 in Maharashtra, 8 each in Madhya Pradesh and Bengal, 5 in Bihar, 4 each in Odisha and Jharkhand, and 1 in Jammu and Kashmir. A total of 1,717 candidates are in the fray for the 4th phase of general elections. And in this phase, over 19 lakh polling officials have been deployed across 1,92,000 polling stations. The voting began at 7 a.m. This morning and will come to an end at 6 in the evening. Upon completion of phase 4, polling will finish in 23 states and union territories. And polling is underway in Jammu and Kashmir's Srinagar constituency with 24 candidates in the fray. Voting is being held for the first time after its special status was revoked in 2019. After the abrogation of Article 370, 1.7 million voters are eligible to vote across 2,135 polling stations in 5 districts. 9 other states along with the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir are voting.
It used to be said that the normalcy is on the surface, but I see normalcy in the face of every voter. I have visited more than 15 polling stations of Shehrikas area, that is the heart of the Srinagar city, along with the Deputy Commissioner Srinagar, and have seen every polling station has turned into a festive place. There is long queues, small kids, elderlies in the polling station and surrounding areas in the premises, standing in the queues for their turn. Till 11 a.m. around 14% is the poll percentage. Definitely we are going to cross the all old records of Srinagar parliamentary constituency of Lok Sabha elections.
All right, so the latest data that we are seeing right now, voter turnout till 1 p.m. is about 40.32%. That's all across the country, all the states and the union territories that are going to polls. Talking specifically about Jammu and Kashmir, very good percentage of voting if we compare it to the voting that took place earlier in 2014, 2019. 23.57% is the approximate voter turnout till now. West Bengal continues to rule the roost, 51.87%. It is the highest if we compare to all the states and union territories going to polls today, closely followed by Madhya Pradesh, which has a good turnout of about 49%. These are the turnouts till 1 p.m., about an hour and a few minutes back. These figures, of course, are approximate figures. And Jammu and Kashmir, though if you compare it to the national average, is lowest at 23.57%, but Jammu and Kashmir always goes to polls amid boycott calls, etc. The last time around in the Srinagar constituency, which is going to poll, it was hardly less than 15%, and this time by just half a day through, with 5 more hours left for polling. 5 more hours left for polling. 23.57% is a good percentage. Aarti Tikku, senior journalist, now joins me on that. Aarti, I saw that report of yours where you were on the cricket field, interviewing cricketers. Give us a sense of what are people voting there for? How is it different, say, from pre-August 2019?
Well, I can certainly recall that in 2019 elections, parliamentary elections, I was here, in fact, covering elections. And There were hardly any people coming out of their homes, going to polling booths. There was an environment of gloom and doom. But in the last few days, in fact, last couple of weeks, my experience on the ground after traveling across South Kashmir and also Central Kashmir, what I can tell you is that there is almost a kind of celebration, almost a very clear acceptance of 2019 decision, which was abrogation of Article 370. And as you remember, many people had claimed that Kashmir was not going to accept it. But after having spoken to people on the ground today, I can very confidently say that people have gone past that decision, in fact, and now are really looking forward to development, looking forward to opportunities in employment. They are now talking about what all privatization can happen in Kashmir. I spoke to a number of youth, and the most striking thing really was that first time in my journalistic experience in the last 25 years in Kashmir, people were saying, young men were saying that they were going to vote and not, stay home, which is a departure from the trend where most young people in Kashmir used to go for boycott of elections. Most young people would actually, wear black wristbands or wear black headbands towards the elections. But that is absent now, and there is a clear celebration of democracy. Even as you pointed out that, it's 23% polling so far in Srinagar parliamentary constituency. But I think, it is significant because in the last 2019 parliamentary elections, Srinagar polled just 14% votes.
Right.
And from that to 23% till 1 p.m., I think is a huge improvement, and also goes to show that people have reposed their faith in Indian democracy. They are reposing their faith in the Indian Constitution, and that's a huge vindication of the stand that the government of India had taken in 2019 by abrogating Article 370, which the government has always said was actually a barrier between people in Kashmir and the rest of India. So I think overall it's a happy outcome today so far in Srinagar.
All right. Aarti, even while you spoke, we were playing visuals in one of our windows where we saw Farooq Abdullah and his son Omar Abdullah come out and vote. I'll come back to you because both the NC and the PDP say when they went into polls, they were urging people to come out and vote, but they said express your dissent. We'll get to the politics of it. Let me also get my colleague Rama Tyagi, who's joining us from Srinagar. Rama, Aarti was saying she sees a perceptible change. Is that what you sense on the ground when you go out and see people queuing up? Is there a newfound optimism that pre-2019 era is over? People want jobs, people want development, they are done with boycott. This time around, perhaps, if my memory serves right, in the recent past, like no violence, not a single incident of violence so far.
Yes, Amritpal, a big change we are witnessing over here. People are coming out of their houses since morning, and right now there is not those kind of long queues here in Srinagar, but from Pulwama, Budgam and other far-flung areas, still we are getting the news that people are in long queues and they are coming out of their houses and without fear they are voting. They are saying that now they are free to vote. They didn't get any kind of threat call, any kind of boycott calls. And now they are voting on their own, on their will, and they want a big change over here because I talked to some of the senior citizens. They were saying that the era they have witnessed, that was the era of terrorism, that was the era of suppression, that was the era of fear. So people are now free from that fear, and they wanted that their new generation would not face that kind of things, that kind of whatever they have seen in their past. When I talk to you, they were saying that they want now new opportunities, they want now new ways. They want better educational institutes. They want better opportunities, new avenues. No industry was here, but now new industry policy has come here. So they are seeing a new kind of future here, and that's why they are voting.
coming
so
out
it's
and
a
voting.
Big change. It's a big change, and people are voting for change this time.
All right, Rama, I'll have to thank you here. Thank you very much for joining us from Srinagar. Let me go back to Aarti Tikku. Aarti, what do we make, the Abdullahs and even the Muftis are saying, please come out and vote. They're urging people to come out and vote. But they say, express your dissent through the vote. How do we read that? Is it typically political doublespeak on their part, or is there still a sentiment on abrogation of Article 370?
Well, look, if you speak to the ordinary voter, I would say that he's far, far intelligent than what is actually granted to him. Most people are fully aware that Article 370 cannot be restored. In fact, most people I spoke to said that Article 370 mattered only to the PDP and the National Conference leadership, and not it did not mean anything for ordinary Kashmiris. It did not change their lives after abrogation of Article 370. And in fact, most people said that it made no difference earlier, and it made no difference after 2019 as far as their lives are concerned. Their problems, whether it's about unemployment, about development, about opportunities, they have, in fact, according to people, have remained the same, and it hasn't made any difference to their lives. What has made a difference really is the fact that people are now openly talking, openly expressing their feelings, their opinions, without the
fear of the gun.
Intimidation caused by gun violence, intimidation caused by rioting, caused by terror and encounters, that harassment that young kids faced through these decades, that has gone. And as I have shown, in fact, after traveling and speaking to youth who are openly bashing the government, bashing political parties, bashing everybody, but their focus really is employment, development. They're least concerned about Article 370. They think that political parties which are still harping on Article 370 are lying, and they know that it's nothing but their own politics, their own interest, self-interest or vested interest, and it has nothing to do with common people. I think that sense is very deep across different generations, not only youngsters but also elders who at most places, in fact, in the hotbeds of separatism and separatist violence, people told me Article 370 cannot be restored, and they do not buy this doublespeak.
So it's not an issue for the people. People want development. People want jobs. Come out, vote. Like the rest of India does, criticize political parties, do criticize political parties, all parties, whoever you believe are not performing, but come out and exercise your votes. And those are the issues that matter to people. For the political parties, especially the valley-based parties, they want to be in parliament, they want Srinagar, they want Anantnag, they want Baramulla, but yet they will keep playing their politics that they play in the valley. When they come to Delhi, they'll sing another tune. Aarti Tikku, many thanks for joining us for the moment.
Thank you.
And prominent people and leaders from different political parties stepped out in the early hours to exercise their franchise in phase 4 of India's general polls. Andhra Pradesh Congress President and candidate from Kadapa, Y.S. Sharmila, cast her vote at a polling booth in the constituency. She faces a contest from TDP's Chaddi Perala Bhupesh, Subbarami Reddy, and YSRCP's Y.S. Avinash Reddy. Avinash Reddy is the sitting MP from Kadapa. Union Minister and BJP candidate from Jharkhand, Khunti Arjun Munda, cast his vote at a polling station in the constituency. He faces Kali Charan Munda of the Congress here. And Jharkhand Chief Minister Champai Soren also exercised his right to vote at a polling booth in the Kharsavan district. Bihar Minister and JDU leader Vijay Kumar Chaudhary showed his inked finger after casting his vote at a polling station in Ujaipur. BJP candidate from Krishnanagar parliamentary constituency cast her vote in her constituency in West Bengal. She faces TMC's Mahua Moitra. And I'm joined by my colleagues, our reporters spread all across the length and breadth of the country. Amit Mukherjee joins me from Ujjain in Madhya Pradesh. Maklin joins us from Visakhapatnam, and also Akshay Dongre. Okay, I'm told Amit Mukherjee I don't see on the screen. I see Akshay Dongre joining us from Hyderabad. I see Maklin from Visakhapatnam and Debyendu Mondal joining us from Ranaghat in West Bengal. Debyendu, first to you. West Bengal, true to its character, very brisk polling. How do you see the political contest there, and what are voters telling you? What are they coming out and voting even while the sun it's scorching? The sun is scorching hot.
Well, Amritpal, that's right. You know, Bengal living up to its character. It's a very politically active and aware state. And amongst all the states that are going to polls till 1 p.m., the data that we have from the Election Commission, Bengal has recorded the highest number of polling till 1 p.m. It's about 52% of polling has been done till 1 p.m. And the queue that you can see behind me is, of course, a testimony of the fact that, you know, people are still queuing up even at this hour of the afternoon. It's about 2:20 in the afternoon. It's really hot and humid here in West Bengal, but despite that, people are coming out to vote. That's how aware, politically responsible and politically active the state of West Bengal is. You know, every year since, if I take you back to 2014, even then Bengal recorded about 82% of voting.
Right.
In 2019 it was about 81%, and the officials and political pundits here estimates that even this time around Bengal will keep up to its highest number of polling across the countries. Of course, you know, the nature of the state is such that people come out of their homes and cast their vote. Currently, I am at the Krishnanagar constituency where Mahua Moitra of the Trinamool Congress is battling it out against the Ranima, or the Queen Mother of the erstwhile kingdom of Krishnanagar.
Yeah.
She is the 39th generation
In fact,
of
Debyendu,
Raja Krishnachandra Roy, who once ruled the state of Bengal. Yes, back.
Debyendu, if you know, it is a battle of bigwigs in Bengal. I'll come to that, but let me bring in my other colleagues before I come back to you. Let me go across to Maklin, who's joining us from Visakhapatnam. Mak, it's brisk polling where you are as well, despite the heat. But I hear the tempers are running high, ain't it?
Well, that's true, Amrit. Not really quite brisk because you could look at the percentage. The last time around, it was the state had polled 80% polling at the and currently it's only about 40.26 at 1 p.m. Though of course the place where I am, Visakhapatnam, is even showing less at about 34% voter turnout at the moment. But Kadapa, the place where you talked about Y. Sharmila contesting against her cousin Avinash Reddy, the voter turnout is the highest in the state so far, of about 46%. But yes, of course, you know, I mean, the weather is hot here and it's humid and the queues are long and people have been standing in queues for a long time. And as a result of that, when few people who consider themselves more important than others come by and get ahead and try and get into the polling booth ahead of the others, then they throw a few, they exchange of words. Here and there, in fact, even in the polling booth that I was in, people were objecting to certain people coming ahead of them. But otherwise, it's been smooth polling. You have to understand it takes a little longer for each voter here because they're voting for the assembly as well as the Lok Sabha, so a little longer wait per person as compared to the other places. Hence, maybe that is a result. As a result of that, the voters are taking a little longer. But clearly, the enthusiasm is high because even now, as the heat is on, the queues are quite long.
All right. Mark, your camera belies the statistics because I see a long queue behind you. Even at 2:25,
Yes,
in the afternoon, I have just come back from Uttar Pradesh. 2:25 polling booths were absolutely empty because it was so hot there, and it is hot where you are. So clearly there is enthusiasm. We'll have to see.
Right.
I
can ask Piyush to show you. He can show you that there are shamiyanas here. So they are actually quite safe in the shade at the moment. So as a result of that, perhaps they have a little bit of shade from the sunshine.
All right. Okay. All right.
But otherwise, yes, there's also water provided, and there's plenty of. We'll come back. Go ahead, Amrit.
Let me now go across to Akshay Dongre. Akshay is joining me from Hyderabad. Akshay, tell us how Hyderabad and the state is polling.
Well, if you look at the number of polling percentages, it is not very encouraging for Hyderabad. In fact, till 1 p.m., the city of Hyderabad, or rather the constituency, has recorded even lesser than 20% of polling percentage. In fact, I have this application by the Election Commission of India, which has they break down the information about the voting percentage, and they update it in real time, at least in every couple of hours. So, according to this application, the Hyderabad constituency has reported about 19.37% of polling till 1 p.m. That is not an encouraging number at all. In fact, if you look at other constituencies that are neighboring constituencies of Hyderabad that in fact come or are counted as the Hyderabad city, they include Malkajgiri, they include Secunderabad as well, and everywhere the situation is the same. But if you look at larger Telangana, all 17 seats are going for polls today. The overall percentage of voting is 40.38%. If you look at Secunderabad, it is at 24.91%, and if you look at Malkajgiri, it is at 27.69%. However, the rural areas, are doing fairly well with Adilabad at over 50%, Zahirabad at over 50% once again. Then Nalgonda is at 48%, Medak is at 46%, Khammam is at 50% once again. So when you look at the constituencies, especially the rural areas, are in fact registering much higher percentage of voting than the urban areas. Now, this was a fear in the Election Commission of India. In fact, even when we were talking earlier as well, if you remember, we have been talking that urban apathy is one of the biggest challenge for the Election Commission, especially at a time when the voting day is just after or just before the weekends. People usually take or rather consider these 3 days as a long weekend. They, instead of coming out and casting their vote, they go out, to cooler areas because it's quite hot here in Hyderabad. And in fact, we are standing here. If you look at the queues, there are absolutely no queues while the arrangements have been made for people to in fact stay in shade and not stand outside. But most of the people that we have been seeing, majority of them rather, Amritpal, have been senior citizens or some middle-aged people, but not a lot of youth has been seen, at least at the polling booths of Hyderabad, Malkajgiri and Secunderabad. So that is one concern with that the Election Commission of India will have to address sooner or later.
All right. Before I let the three of you go, let me come back to Debyendu. Debyendu, I wanted to ask you, battle of big wigs in West Bengal. Paint us the picture. Who are the key candidates?
Well, that's right, Amrit. It's of course a star-studded phased election this time. the fourth phase here in Bengal. We have a plethora of these star candidates that are contesting elections in this particular phase here in Bengal. On one hand, in where I am, this is the Krishnanagar constituency. Here, as I was telling you earlier, it is Mahua Moitro, who many have known for her being vociferous, and also she was involved in a cash for queries, alleged cash for queries.
Just list out who are Mahua Moitra,
the Parliament.
Mahua Moitra, SS Aluwalia, Yusuf Pathan. Who else?
Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary from the Congress is also contesting against Yusuf Pathan. Kirti Azad, former cricketer. We also have Shatabdi Roy, a renowned Bengali actress who's contesting from the Birbhum constituency. So we have a number of these star-studded candidates that are contesting from in this particular phase. So of course it's an interesting battle, Amrit. There are many issues also that are doing the rounds of the minds of the people. Yes.
All right. Debindu, thank you very much for joining us for the moment. Also, Akshay, you guys take care of yourselves. It's very hot. Drink a lot of fluids and keep reporting. Thank you very much. And still to come on DD India News Hour. India's Central Board of Secondary Education declares 10th and 12th results on Monday. Girls again surpass boys. Israelis mark Memorial Day today in Jerusalem in honor of fallen soldiers and victims of attacks over the years since the nation's creation in 1948.
As India decides in the world's largest election,
we help you feel the pulse of the nation.
I am Sakal Bhatt.
I am Shubhendu Ghosh.
This election season, join us on a journey of India.
We are in Assam. This is the tea city of India.
From down south, Tamil Nadu.
Discover the colors of democracy.
Gateway to northeast of India.
Coastal state of Kerala. Watch Poll Pulse on DD India.
Voice of a rising aspirational world. Stories of challenges, struggles and accomplishment. A world battling conflict, hunger and poverty. Embracing growth, development, science and technology. A voice of progress, a voice of unity. Watch Voice of the Global South with me, Akshay Dongre, only on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Amritpal Singh. Let's take a look at the headlines once again. India votes in the fourth phase of parliamentary elections today. 96 seats up for grabs across 10 states and union territories. Brisk polling in West Bengal and Madhya Pradesh. Ukraine continues to hit targets inside Russia and Donetsk. 15 Russian civilians killed. Russian President Vladimir Putin replaces Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu. And in Premier League, Arsenal returns to the top of the Premier League table following a nervy 1-0 win at Old Trafford. In the ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict, at least 15 Russian civilians died and many were injured on May 12th when part of an apartment block collapsed in Belgorod after a missile strike by Ukraine. The Russian Defense Ministry termed Belgorod strikes as terrorist attack on residential areas, stating that at least 12 missiles were involved. Moscow on Monday reported to have intercepted and destroyed these 12 missiles along with 4 others and 31 drones. Governor Gladkov reported 4 more deaths from separate Kyiv attacks on May 12th, with 27 injuries in various incidents. Meanwhile, 2 people were reported killed in a shelling on Russia-controlled city of Donetsk in eastern Ukraine on Monday. And in a surprise move, Russian President Vladimir Putin has replaced Sergei Shoigu as the defense minister. Shoigu will now become the secretary of Russia's powerful Security Council, apart from taking up responsibilities for the military-industrial complex. Notably, Shoigu will be replaced by economist and former Deputy Prime Minister Andrei Belousov as Moscow seeks to better utilize the defense budget. Shoigu has been a long-term ally of Putin. However, he has been battling criticism due to the handling of the Ukraine conflict. And DD India's Dasha Chernashova joins us live from Moscow. Dasha, how should we read Shoigu's, this change of the defense minister? Has Shoigu been kicked up, or has he been parked given the criticism that he was facing? And why an economist is the defense minister?
Well, the explanation to this reshuffle has been given by the Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov, who has given his comments after the announcement was made with regards to Andrei Belousov, a veteran economist, being appointed to the position of the country's defense minister. The understanding is that Moscow does want to beef up the output of its military-industrial complex and to streamline the produced weapons to the battlefield. The idea here is that the department of the Ministry of Defense has to be open to innovation as well as some advanced ideas. That's according to Peskov, and that's why Andrei Belousov, who has the economic background, is expected to be bringing about that change into the defense ministry. We also understand that at this moment, Russia's defense budget has increased from 3%, then slowly to 3.5%, to 6%, to over 6% at the moment. That's again according to Dmitry Peskov, the rare figures we are receiving from the Kremlin, and that's why there is the need to make sure that this defense budget is allocated properly. In the meantime, Sergei Shoigu, who has been occupying this position for over a decade, will also have a role in the Russian military in terms of the Russian being the deputy to the Russian president. He will be also responsible for the military-industrial complex. Speaking about the tactics that the Russian military are using now, the Kremlin has reassured that the system of coordinates is not changing, and it has always been the prerogative of the chief of general staff to direct the tactics and the strategy of the Russian armed forces. They will still be the same, and they will be under the General Valery Gerasimov, who has been in this position most recently. So no changes on that front are expected. But all in all, the understanding is that Moscow is indeed carrying out one of the major reshuffles in its top brass of the military commands, and this is obviously something that the analysts were not expecting.
All right. Dasha Chernashova, thank you very much for joining us from Moscow and giving us that update. Moving on to Israel now. Israel is observing its Memorial Day to honor fallen soldiers and victims of attacks over the years since the nation's creation in 1948. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu attended the main ceremony at Mount Herzl in Jerusalem, commemorating fallen soldiers with the sound of siren. On the eve of May 12th, President Isaac Herzog presided over a ceremony at Jerusalem's Western Wall. The day pays tribute to those lost in Israel's wars and to the victims of terrorism. Against the backdrop of the ongoing Gaza conflict, families of Israeli hostages staged a silent demonstration on the Tel Aviv highway, pausing as sirens sounded in remembrance. And Israel has announced the opening of a new humanitarian aid crossing into Gaza. The IDF, in a statement, said that the crossing, called Western Erez, was opened in northern Gaza in accordance with the directive of the Israeli government and in coordination with the U.S. government. The statement further read that crossing was established as part of the effort to increase aid routes into Gaza. The IDF, in a social media post, said that dozens of trucks of humanitarian aid were coordinated on Sunday from Port of Ashdod on behalf of the World Food Programme after undergoing security checks. And DD India's Sarah Coates joins us from Tel Aviv. Hi Sarah, give us a sense of how the aid flow is progressing now that we have a new crossing opened called Western Neres. All right, I'm told there we have problems connecting to Sarah. So let's move on. As India votes in the fourth phase of general elections, sand artist Doordarshan Patnaik is trying his bit to spread awareness by creating sand artwork with the message, "Your vote is your future," at the Puri beach in Odisha. Take a look. Let's talk about phase 5. Campaigning is on in full swing for the fifth phase of polls. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is holding rallies in different parts of the eastern state of Bihar. Addressing a public rally in Hajipur, Prime Minister Modi emphasized BJP's unwavering dedication to building a developed India and a developed Bihar. He also assured equal participation in decision making for all. Slamming the opposition, the Prime Minister said that both RJD and the Congress stress on their vote bank and not the people of the state. And later at a rally in Bihar's Muzaffarpur, Prime Minister noted that the election is to decide the future of India and the country does not want a weak and unstable government like the Congress.
डरपोक प्रधानमंत्री देश चला सकता है क्या? आप कल्पना कर सकते हैं ये लोग इतने डरे हुए हैं, इनको रात में सपने में भी पाकिस्तान का परमाणु बम दिखाई देता है। अब ऐसी पार्टियां, ऐसे नेता जिनको रात में भी सोते सोते पाकिस्तान का परमाणु बम दिखाई दे, क्या इनको देश दे सकते हैं क्या? ऐसे लोगों को देश दे सकते हैं क्या?
And ahead of his election rallies, the Prime Minister offered prayers at Patna Sahib Gurdwara in Bihar. Expressing his gratitude, Prime Minister Modi in a social media post said that he felt truly blessed to experience dignity, serenity and rich history of this sacred place. Prime Minister Modi also said that the Gurudwara has a close link with Guru Gobind Singh, adding that the government had the honor of marking his 350th Prakash Utsav in a grand manner. Prime Minister Modi said that the teachings of Sikh Gurus continue to inspire and guide us all. Prime Minister Modi, after paying obeisance at the Sanctum Sanctorum, later served langar or food to the devotees at the Gurdwara Patna Sahib. Langar or serving food is a tradition of the Gurdwaras. Prime Minister was also honored with Samman Patra or a letter of appreciation by the Gurdwara management. And India's opposition Congress party leader Rahul Gandhi is also holding election rallies in Uttar Pradesh. He held an election rally in Uttar Pradesh, Rai Bareli. Addressing the gathering, Rahul Gandhi said that if the India alliance comes to power, waiving of farmers' loans will be the Congress's first priority. So Rahul Gandhi is contesting elections from Rai Bareli.
कांग्रेस पार्टी की इंडिया गठबंधन की सरकार आ गई तो आपका कर्जा माफ करना मेरा पहला काम होगा। इतिहास में पहली बार हिंदुस्तान की सरकार कानूनी मिनिमम सपोर्ट प्राइस अपने किसानों के लिए लाने जा रही है। किसानों को बीमा का पैसा मिलेगा और 30 दिन के अंदर बीमा का पैसा मिलेगा। इस भीड़ में से हजारों लोगों की लिस्ट बनेगी। लिस्ट में से हर परिवार में से एक महिला का नाम चुना जाएगा। उस महिला के बैंक अकाउंट में 50,000 नहीं, 70,000 नहीं, 90,000 नहीं, 1 लाख रुपया साल का अंदर जाएगा।
And Indian minister and BJP candidate from Hamirpur Lok Sabha seat in Himachal Pradesh, Anurag Singh Thakur, on Monday filed his nomination papers. Polling in all 4 lower house seats in Himachal Pradesh will be held in the last of the 7-phase Lok Sabha elections, and it shall take place on the 1st of June. RJD candidate from Bihar's Pataliputra Lok Sabha constituency, Prasar Bharati, filed her nomination for the lower house elections. Former Chief Minister of Bihar and RJD Chief Lalu Prasad Yadav was also present at the occasion when Prasar filed her nominations. Lalu Prasad Yadav is the father of Prasar Bharati. Okay, let me go across to my colleague Amit Mukherjee, who joins us from Ujjain in the central Indian state of Madhya Pradesh. Give us a sense of how MP is voting. It's brisk voting, I think, after West Bengal. Madhya Pradesh, if we talk about today's voting, is voting the highest, Amit. And also, there are, out of the seats going to polls today, at least 3 seats are where are predominantly have a tribal population. What trends are you picking up from there?
Well, yes, Amrit, actually, when the national average so far today has been 40%, Madhya Pradesh has witnessed almost 50% around 1 o'clock. So I would assume that the polling percentage right now is almost around more than 55%. And in fact, people have been coming out and voting in an overwhelming manner right now. But the only thing is that Indore, despite the average has been around 50% around 1 o'clock, Indore has been witnessing slightly lower pace of voting, and the voting percentage has been around 40%. Yes, you rightly pointed out, the tribal districts, the 3 tribal districts are also seeing a huge amount of voting right now. In fact, they are the ones who are leading the entire chart. Now, out of the 8 constituencies that are witnessing polls today in Madhya Pradesh, which are primarily in the western part of Madhya Pradesh, it's the Malwa region. The Devas, Ratlam, these are the ones, they have actually crossed the 50% mark around 1 o'clock. The polling percentage in Ratlam was about 51, while in Devas it was like around 52.5%. So clearly the tribals are out and voting with a lot of, enthusiasm, and I would expect that it would cross around 70-odd% by around 5 o'clock. So I mean, the election. So
does that Amit,
pretty hard?
Does that surpass the 2019 voter turnout if it is above 70%?
Well, Amrit, I wouldn't really go in predicting on the 2019 figures because there's still some time left.
Right.
See, ideally, what happens is like there are the voting pattern is people come out and vote before the lunch time, and after lunch there is a bit of a lull. So again, it picks up around 4 o'clock. So before lunchtime, a lot of people had done the due diligence by casting their vote, which again the time frame I'm talking about is about 1 o'clock. So we'll have to wait, but yes, the target is, because in the morning I was speaking to the Ujjain collector, and he was pretty confident that he would achieve the target. The target is around 75%, which is similar to what it was in 2019 in Ujjain. So voting has been pretty much good, and the incentives which the election commission had extended to the voters to come out and vote, it seems it's working out well for them.
All right. Madhya Pradesh goes into parliamentary elections just months after it chose its assembly. Is it, when you speak to the voters, and give me segment wise, first time voters, what are they saying, what are the other voters saying, is it a sort of referendum on the state government, how it's performing, or are they voting differently from how they voted on the assembly? I'm not asking, we'll only get to know how people voted, which party they voted for on the 4th of June, but I'm saying, is that the general drift that you see?
I got your point. So yes, Amrit, coming back to your question, the drift which we are getting is from the point of view of how the political parties have been campaigning. Now, if you look at 2000 and the assembly elections which took place in 2023, a couple of seats had thrown challenges at BJP. Now, these are primarily the tribal seats, which is where both Congress and BJP had been focusing a lot during the campaigns. If you look at how campaigns had picked up around in February itself, Prime Minister had visited those areas and had announced, like, for example, Ratlam. In Ratlam, there's a Jhabua is an integral part of Ratlam, which is again a tribal district. So in Jhabua itself, Prime Minister had announced projects to the tune of 7,500 crores. Now, Congress has been reaching out to the tribals in a big way. They have been reiterating whatever they have mentioned in their manifesto, which includes cash dole to people and various other incentives in terms of loan waivers and all. So yeah, the focus is definitely on, even Congress has the kind of by and large, all these 8 seats which we are witnessing polls on, they have been pretty strongholds of BJP, but definitely after the assembly election there seems to be some sort of a anxiety in a couple of tribal seats, which is why BJP is now focusing on them. So I mean, if you look at the census, I mean, out of 8 again which were won, all of them. I mean, BJP had won all these 8 seats in 2019. One seat is slightly uncertain, which is Ratlam. Again, voting is happening there with a lot of enthusiasm. Ultimately, and in fact, if I just go back again to Ratlam constituency, the Lok Sabha constituency has about 8 assembly constituency in it. Right. Now, in the last assembly election, it was 4:4. For both the parties, Congress but where Congress had an edge was they had a slightly higher vote percentage. Now, if they are able to hold on to that, it might spell a slightly different sort of a outcome as far as the overall poll outcome is concerned.
All right. In any case, let's reiterate, Amit, that we are not trying to prejudge or in any way say that this is what it looks like. The voter decides. Even while the voting is on, we'll get to know on the 4th of June. These are just our readings that we as reporters pick up on the ground. Thank you, Amit Mukherjee, for joining me from Ujjain. And to big news which came in this afternoon. India's Central Board of Secondary Education declared its high school and senior secondary results on Monday. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has congratulated the students on the results. This year, around 390,000 students registered for the CBSE Board Exam 2024 for classes 10 and 12 nationwide. 87.98% of the students passed the 12th board exams, while 93.60% was the passing percentage recorded for the 10th board exams. Over 24,000 candidates scored above 95%. And over 116,000 candidates above 90%. Students can check their scorecards on the board's official website. Like the trend in the past few years, girls continue to outshine boys this year again, as 6.4% girls performed better than boys. Boys never seem to learn. Okay. Let's now take a look at other stories making news. India and France are conducting the 7th edition of the joint military exercise Shakti starting Monday in the Amroi region of Meghalaya. The exercise aims to enhance the joint military capacity of both nations to undertake multi-domain operations in a sub-conventional scenario. Indian Navy ship Kiltan arrived at Vietnam's Cam Bay on Monday. The visit is a part of the operational deployment of Indian Navy's Eastern Fleet. The visit will conclude with a maritime partnership exercise at sea between the Indian Navy and Vietnam People's Navy. India's 84 Battalion Central Reserve Police Force organized a free medical camp in the Kood area of Jammu and Kashmir's Udhampur. The day-long camp provided free medical checkups and medicines to underprivileged villagers. Okay, you're watching DD India News Hour, and now it's time for some sports news. English Premier League title race will go to the final day after Arsenal beat Manchester United. Ollie Barrett reports from London.
Well, Arsenal's victory means that we do take ourselves to the final day of the Premier League season on Sunday, whatever happens later this week. And by that I mean in the Manchester City game in hand, which they play in the week against Tottenham. If Manchester City win that game and then win their final match of the season against West Ham, then they will be champions. But if there were to be some other result against Spurs in the week, the game would still go to the final day of the season. On that final day, Arsenal play Everton, and as I say, we do now know that the Premier League season will go to that final day when it comes to who is going to win the title this time around, Arsenal or Manchester City. Arsenal overcoming Manchester United with a fairly routine performance, not particularly exciting at times, but the victory was all that they needed to make sure that they do take the game to that final day of the Premier League season. So all still to play for. Manchester City still favourites to win the EPL title again this season. At the other end of the table, we are nearly done and dusted when it comes to relegation. Luton are all but down now. There is still a slim mathematical possibility that they could survive, but it's fairly impossible for them to do so now. So we do know that the relegated teams will be the three that came up to the Premier League from the Championship at the end of last season. There's still some jeopardy as well in the other European spots. Aston Villa, Spurs, Chelsea, Manchester United, Newcastle among those jockeying for the Champions League, Europa League, Conference League spots towards the top of the table. Aston Villa play Liverpool on Monday this week, so there is still, as I say, plenty to play for at both ends of the table, even if the relegation spots are all but decided now. Ollie Barrett in London reporting for DD India.
Well, thank you, Ollie, for that. And let's move on to IPL back home. Gujarat Titans will host Kolkata Knight Riders in the match 63 of the Indian Premier League 2024 in Ahmedabad on Monday. It's a quick turnaround for the Kolkata Knight Riders, who on Saturday night confirmed a spot in the playoffs with the win over Mumbai Indians. Two Australian skydivers named Marco First and Marco Wolstenspiel became the first people to successfully navigate a wingsuit flight through London's iconic Tower Bridge. The duo leapt from a helicopter at 3,000 feet and flew across the River Thames before navigating their flight through the bridge towers. And that's it in this edition of DD India News Hour. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those of you on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India's mobile app. The app is available both on Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR codes on your screen to download now. And we'll be back with more news as